Stakeholder engagement is a systematic process for identifying, understanding, and involving any group or individual affected by an organization's activities. And what we do is bridging the gap between multi-sector stakeholders to advance global citizenship and the triple bottom line. And triple bottom line, some of you may remember from this morning, really refers to this business, environment, social progress. This graphic sort of represents how these converge. In between these, you have these kind of sections of socio-economic, eco-efficiency, socio-environmental issues. And at the very center of this, of course, you have sustainability, where all of these goals of business, social progress, environmental stewardship are perfectly aligned. And what we have done is to try and bring together companies, organizations, trying to align, find common ground between them. But the key word here with stakeholder engagement is systematic. It's about developing a discipline for organizing how you reach out, how you connect, how you understand what different people think, organizing this information in a coherent way so that you have a strategy for dealing with it. In the traditional world, if you're a company, from that perspective, you deal with customers, employees, stakeholders, regulators, suppliers. Everyone else, whatever. These are the folks we have to deal with as a company. In stakeholder engagement, we start saying, we got to look at non-traditional points of view. We have to reach out beyond that inner circle, or those inner circles, to non-traditional stakeholders, NGOs, community groups, religious groups, socially responsible investors, media, etc. It's about collaboration. Building collaboration leads to better outcomes for all the stakeholders who are involved. And I'll say that it's very exciting when you go to some of these conferences, because very well-meaning people, much like all of us, who work for big corporations, have been tasked with figuring out how to take these huge global corporations and move them in a direction of taking leadership on CSR issues. And they certainly face a lot of issues and resistance trying to make that happen. But they're starting to talk about moving from corporate social responsibility to corporate social innovation, which is, how do we make this an advantage? How do we make talking to our stakeholders and understanding what they think an actual way to figure out some great ideas? Not only collaborating, but do these stakeholders have ideas that we haven't thought of? The global citizenship pyramid is the basic sort of framework that we start from in looking at corporate social responsibility. And that is, at the base of the pyramid, the first thing is this company has to look at, do they have the performance? Are they socially and environmentally responsible? How are they? How are they not? How are they measuring it? How are they reporting it outside? Once they start to have those ducks in a row, then they can start to build trust. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Building trust, relationships through stakeholder engagement. Once they can talk in a meaningful and articulate way about who they are, what they're really doing, then they can actually start to go out there and build trust with NGOs, with communities, and with governments who are skeptical of what their performance is. And finally, leadership. And that is really achieving something, taking leadership on a social or environmental issue as a corporation by partnering with the right partners, getting the right stakeholders together, and then moving it forward.
What we've tried to do is develop a more strategic and planned approach to stakeholder engagement that's proactive, driven by priorities for the overarching organization, cross-functionally aligned, so that the organizational objectives for the entire company or the organization that's conducting a campaign are very, very clear. And how do we do this? It's a step-by-step process that starts with identifying your issues and then aligning that with your core organizational objectives. If you don't do this, it will never work, because if it's not aligned with your core organizational objectives, it's not going to be integrated into your operations. It just won't work. For any people in this room that want to get involved with stakeholder engagement, these are kind of three basic things you might consider depending on the size of your organization. Look at your stakeholder landscape, think beyond traditional stakeholders, and be open to opposing viewpoint. Stakeholder engagement primers, there's lots of stuff out there. AA1000 is developing a standard that's coming out of Europe that's really trying to formalize stakeholder engagement for big companies. Engagement processes, there's organizations like us, Keystone Center, and others that can help you with an ongoing engagement or around a particular issue.